Apostles stand on top of the world and were commonly referred as the 12 extraordinary creatures. In history, every apostle was powerful. Some were given the highest authority over the water element and could control oceans and natural disasters. Some could even build a new world with their flesh and blood. Among them, the most powerful apostle was Mr. Ullman, also known as Unlimited. According to the records, his fighting power far outweighed the other apostles, but it was mysterious and indeterminate. He was the most threatening existence to all the apostles. In a room, a girl suddenly woke up after seeing a dream and shouted, "Ice Dragon." She then realized that it was just a dream. Hearing her loud noise, an old man enters the room with a smile on his face. This person was Asimons, the chief magician of the Fram Empire and currently the president of the Royal Academy. The old man asks her how did she feel. But the girl still says, "Ice Dragon." The old man closes the book and tells her to lie down and rest, as the ice dragon had already been wiped out. He then asks her if she wanted to know how the ice dragon died. The girl replies with a flustered look that she didn't remember. The man then takes out a vial containing a purple flame. The girl got astonished, and the man explained, when they found her, she was in coma, and this flame was near her. This was called hellfire, and it was the flame that mankind would never be able to manipulate. The red-haired girl gritted her teeth and said, "Apostles." The old man then says that the apostles had retreated for a long time, but why did they involve themselves in this battle? There must be something they were not aware about. The old man sighed and said to the girl that she had worked hard, and in addition, the empire would claim that she had killed the dragon. After all, anything that involved an apostle would create unnecessary panic, so she should take the accolade. The girl gritted her teeth and agreed. The next day, the whole capital was celebrating. They were shouting, "Thank you, Lord Kier, for defeating the ice dragon." In a bar, somewhere in the capital, a boy was sitting in a depressed mood. This boy is our main character. He was worried because the authorities had revealed that the ice dragon got wiped out. But if they were to reveal his identity, then he would never get to see the lovely ladies who treat him as a normal person. He had come to the world of humans just to find himself a wife. But now it was better to go to other cities to hide from the limelight. The boy then stood up and started moving out. He was sad and reluctant to part with the lovely Kanban girl and the beautiful bar girl. All of a sudden the bar's door opened and the captain of the Imperial Guard stepped inside. He then pointed towards the boy. The boy got flustered and thought, was he revealed? The man then says that finally he found him. Now he should hurry and go with him to the Imperial College. The captain then continued that those who participated in the ice dragon battle just like this young man can also come. The people were shocked hearing that this young man participated in the battle. The boy then raises his hand and suddenly asks in a serious tone, "Were there any beautiful girls in school?" After a while, we see students gathered for the entrance test for the Royal Institution of Flemish Empire. As the boy reached there, he was happy, seeing so many beautiful girls. An old man was watching all of the students gathered from above. This old man was Asimons from earlier. A man behind him then asked, "Lord Asimons, why are you giving chance to these incapacitated children?" The old man just smiles and replies, "Give young people a chance. Maybe there would be something unexpected." Then everyone hears the announcement. First of all, congratulations on the opportunity to attend the Imperial College. We are going to get into the entrance exam. In order to get people to adapt quickly to the pace of the college, I hope you will do your best to pass and survive. The children were astonished hearing this. Magic circles started glowing, and a monster stepped out of it, emitting terrifying amount of heat. This monster was Fire Wolf. This beast was summoned by the High Priest of Fire Department for the test. As all the students were scared, there was one boy who was consoling all the girls. He told them that he would protect them, and this monster was easy to handle. This boy was obviously our main character. Seeing the monster, everyone was shocked, because this was not a fake summon, instead a real monster. The boy looks in disdain towards the monster, as this kind of monster was a child's play. The other children were trying their best to hold out the monster, but all of it was in vain. The monster was angry and directly attacked a student. As a result, the student died. The other children were terrified seeing all this and cried for help. The monster created many clones of himself and charged towards the students. The students ran as fast as they could. Each of them had a frightened expression. The boy was surprised seeing the children run from such a low-rank monster. All of a sudden, a boy with blonde hair stepped out. He confronted the monster's heat with his own powers. He used his special move, Wind Chain, and successfully dispersed its attack. He then instructed everyone to attack the monster together, if they wanted to survive. A girl stepped out and said she would attack the left wing with her bow. Another girl appeared and took position in the right wing and attacked with magic. A group of boys step up to attack it from close range. As a result of this attack, all of the monsters laid on the ground groaning in pain. The children all became happy and celebrated. All of a sudden, there was a terrifying explosion and everyone became alarmed. From inside the explosion emerged a monster which was multiple times bigger than the previous wolves. This three-headed monster was the Wolf of Fire synthetic. It roared and then looked fiercely towards the students. The blonde guy from earlier spoke once again and said, even though this was the Royal College entrance exam, this was just too much. The monster opened its mouth and shot multiple fireballs towards the scared children. The children hurriedly dodged, after seeing the place where the fireball landed being blasted to smithereens. One of those fireballs was coming towards the boy in black uniform. He calmly looked towards it, and though such a weak-looking attack couldn't even move his hair, but as he didn't want to reveal his strength, he was in a dilemma, whether to dodge it or get hit by it. As he was thinking, he heard the sound of a girl telling him to be careful, but before he could process what happened, the girl pushed him away from the path of the fireball. The girl then asks it was dangerous, was he okay? The boy was at a loss of words, seeing such a beautiful girl in front of him. The girl hurriedly got up and advised him not to get flustered next time. The boy, seeing all this, had a stupefied expression and thought, was this what people call love at first sight? The girl was an ice-type mage and attacked with her ice magic. The ice shard flew and hit the three-headed beast. But there was no damage. Instead, the beast became angry. It noticed the little girl and was going to attack her, when the other children used nature magic and vines appeared to bind the monster. The girl then requested everyone to support her for a while, so that she can complete her spell. The fight continued, and after a while, the girl launched her attack, Double Boot. The monster was covered in ice, and chains of ice stopped him from moving. On the other side, the boy was thinking that he would talk to the girl after the fight ended. All of a sudden, a beam of fire shot past the girl, taking her by surprise. When the girl turned, she was shocked to see the fire shot being directed towards the monster. As the attack was fierce, all the ice got melted. The monster once again got free. The blonde student shouted, "Who was it who shot the fire magic? Who wanted them to die?" The blonde guy then uses wind magic to bind the beast. Seeing all this, the boy thought that, even though the wind magic was strong, it wasn't enough to stop the beast. Instead, the wind magic would support the fire. The beast then targeted the nearest person to him. It was the girl. The girl was terrified as she couldn't gather magic. Suddenly, the boy stepped up in style. The girl was shocked. The boy then grabs the girl and unshields her from the monster. He then looked towards the monster and gave it a fierce kick. The monster went flying and crashed on the wall. The boy then thinks his mission was accomplished. Now it was time for the girl to be impressed and like him. But her reaction was a bit different. He then asks her, did he hurt her when he kicked the wild dog? The girl then replied with teary eyes that she was okay, but his hand was somewhere else. Then the boy realized that he was touching something soft and warm. As soon as he saw what he was touching, he became terrified and said he was sorry. They both blushed and had red faces. Seeing this, all the male students were jealous of him. All of a sudden they hear a melodious voice saying, "The test was over." Everyone turns around and spots a beautiful woman. They then realize that she was Claire, the vice principal. The blond boy complained, asking what was going on. He then points to a dead student and asks how could a college test be this dangerous. Claire smiles, and then all the dead students turned into golden light and dashed towards the woman. That was when the blond guy realized that those were not real students, instead magic dolls. The other students also realized that it was all fake. The woman congratulates everyone for their successful admission to the Royal College of the Flemish Empire. The female students were very excited and discussed among themselves. The boy eavesdropped their conversation and was happy, thinking about all the cute girls he would see this year. Claire, the vice principal, then says that this year also the flagship class would be taught by the same teacher, the Wizard of Care, Charlotte. A red-haired woman appeared who had the body of a teenager. The girl was surprised seeing the flame witch being their teacher. The woman Claire then concludes, saying if they have any questions they could directly ask Charlotte. After saying that, she goes away. The students flocked towards Charlotte and asked about the next arrangements. The woman then said that after resting today, they could move freely in the campus. But tomorrow morning before 7 a.m., they had to report on the battlefield for a practical lesson. She also instructed them to warm up before class. After saying that, she turned around and was about to leave when the blond boy appeared and asked her in a questioning tone if they were to go in the elite class because of strength, then why did that guy have to go too? The boy with the black uniform was thinking many things in his mind. Charlotte then asks why, what was wrong with him. Then all the students start complaining. Some said that while everybody was fighting, he was just standing. Some said that he just moved to take advantage of the goddess. The girl, whom everyone was calling goddess, said in a worried tone that all of this was a lie. He had come to save her from the wolf. The students then say that the goddess is so kind-hearted that she is saving some nobody. It turns out that no one saw the boy kick the wolf. It was because the boy didn't want to show his power, so he kicked at such fast speed that even the instructors were not able to see it, let alone students. Charlotte moves towards the boy. The boy looked calm on the outside but was screaming inside because he clearly remembered that he had blurred her memory during the fight with Ice Dragon. Did she recognize him? The woman then asked had they met before. The boy hurriedly replied, how was that possible? Even though he was handsome, she might be mistaking him for someone else. The woman then thinks and asks once again, was he sure they had not met before? The boy once again replies that if he had seen such a lovely girl, then he would have definitely remembered her. The other students were very angry, seeing the boy flirt with the teacher. Charlotte had a blush on her face and said to everyone that she had decided to put the boy in the elite class. She then continues that he didn't take advantage of the girl. It was a mistake, and also when everyone was running away from the beasts, he showed courage and saved the girl. That was enough for him to be enrolled in the academy. The boy became happy hearing all these compliments. Charlotte then angrily says to all the students, if anyone had a problem with her decision, then they could transfer themselves to some other class. No one complained. Even though the blond guy gritted his teeth, he remained silent. It was night time. In the holy floating house, the old man was sitting in his office. He asked to the women in front of him, were all the adventurers who participated in the Ice Dragon battle enter the elite class? Charlotte then replies with a yes. She then asks, was it possible that the person associated with the apostles being mixed up among the students? The old man then asked the other woman, Claire, to narrate any interesting event that occurred in the entrance exam. The woman then thinks for a while and says that there was indeed a strange event. In the test, a student blew away the flame wolf, but the problem here is that she only saw him appear in front of the wolf, and in the next moment the wolf was sent flying. The man then thinks and says, if a student could make a flame wolf fly, then he had to be a magic genius that appears once in a century. He then suddenly tells them not to overthink about the apostles. It was too late now, and they should go take rest. Both of the women bowed and left. Next day morning, the boy woke up with a tired look. He was still feeling very sleepy. Suddenly, he spotted the girl he saved yesterday. Seeing her, he became excited and approached her. The girl turned around and asked if anything was wrong. The boy with a blushed face said, "And the test yesterday, he really didn't mean that." The girl blushed but still said, thank you to him for yesterday, as he had saved her from the wolf, but everyone seemed to have misunderstood him. The boy felt a bit shy and said that he couldn't control his hands, and by mistakenly touched her sensitive spot. He would be careful next time. The girl smiled hearing that and said she had forgiven him already. She then introduced herself. She was Elsa. She then asks his name. The boy's face became red seeing the girl's hair flutter by the wind. She looked very beautiful. The boy then introduces himself as you. They both chat happily while walking towards their classes. Seeing all of this from far was the blonde boy. He gritted his teeth and his eyes shone with hatred. After some time, all the students had gathered in the battle zone. It was time to start the practical fighting class. Charlotte then says that they should make a group of 2 people, but this time their opponent won't be their classmate. Instead, it would be a monster. Seeing the tiger appear, one student says, the Yan tiger is a common intermediate beast known for his fire attributes, but he has also very strong explosive power. The blonde guy asks the teacher that many of them had never previously dealt with a tiger, so wasn't that unfair? Charlotte then calmly says that was the only reason why she told them to make groups of 2. She then says that there would be a lottery draw, and those with same number will get in the same team. Yu was very sad because he didn't get the same number as Elsa. Elsa, on the other hand, was wondering who had the same number as her. All of a sudden, the blonde boy stepped up and greets Elsa in a very cheesy manner. He says that he was very fortunate to form a team with her. This blonde-haired boy was Kyle Politz, the eldest son of a Politz family. Elsa hurriedly says that time was very short and they should quickly start discussing for a strategy. The man then smiles and says that the monster might be strong for other people but not for him. So, she should just wait here and let him take care of the beast. The girl refuted, but Kyle had already moved towards the arena. He was thinking that Elsa might be impressed after hearing his family's name, and after defeating the monster he would definitely make her his girlfriend. Kyle confronts the tiger beast. He uses Wind Blade. The magic attack was fierce and destroyed the floor. Charlotte, on the other hand, was analyzing the strength of Kyle. She estimated Kyle's strength to be an intermediate class or even advanced class. He might be a genius. In the arena, the tiger didn't get hurt but was moved a few steps backward by Kyle's attack. Kyle then uses another attack, Eagle Trick. The tiger also throws out flame. Both wind and fire clash and a huge explosion occurs. Kyle walks out in a cheesy manner and tells Elsa that was too easy in this kind of test. Before he could complete his sentence, seeing the worried expression of Elsa, he turned around and saw the tiger pounce on him. The tiger then starts burning up Kyle. Seeing this, the students got worried and asked Charlotte to stop this. But at this time there was a change in the battle, as Kyle kicked the tiger and it flew away. He got up and walked out of the stage and said to Elsa in a confident tone that their team would be the first to complete the test so easily. Charlotte then comes and tells them that their team was the second to complete the test, and they could now take a break. Hearing this, both of them got surprised, but Kyle got angry and refuted that it was impossible for someone to be faster than him. There must be a mistake. Charlotte then tells Kyle that there was no mistake, and if they have any doubt, they can go there and see the team who completed the mission first. When both of them reached there, they were dumbstruck seeing the scene in front of them. You and another girl were playing with the ferocious tiger, and the tiger was acting cute. Let's go 15 minutes earlier to understand what happened here. Yu was in a depressed mood after seeing that he didn't have the same number as Elsa. A girl comes from behind and asks him in a domineering tone if he also had the number 7 in the paper and he could call her Abigail. After seeing the fierce girl, Yu literally started crying Elsa's name. Seeing the boy ignore her greeting, Abigail got angry and attacked him. Yu was searching for Elsa and absent-mindedly stopped the axe in between his fingers. He calmly tells Abigail that he was listening. Abigail was so shocked, seeing the boy stop her full power attack with only his fingers. She then thinks of mentally attacking him and calls him a pervert and warns him not to interfere in the fight between her and the tiger. After saying that, she goes to the stage. She jumped up high in the air and attacked the tiger. The tiger instantly dodged her attack. Abigail, seeing the attack being unsuccessful, thinks of fighting the tiger in close range. But this choice of hers was a bad one, as the tiger flipped its tail and Abigail went flying. Even though she was injured, she still had the determination to fight with the beast. Abigail stopped the tiger from advancing further with her weapon, but as her magic aptitude was poor, she was being pushed back. Seeing all this, Yu finally stepped up and said to the tiger that was no way to treat a lady. He then releases a very tiny amount of his aura towards the tiger. The tiger, seeing this, instantly got terrified. It understood that the man in front of him was not a human, and if he wanted to survive, he had to listen to its orders. Now back to the present. Yu and Abigail were playing with the tame tiger when they suddenly hear a scoffing sound. As Abigail turned around, she saw Kyle with a smirk on his face. He then said, meeting such a friendly flame tiger and completing the task so easily, he really envied them. As Abigail had a fiery personality, she got angry seeing Kyle talk like that. But Kyle continued. He said his luck was really bad as he got a fierce tiger. If only he had gotten a tame tiger like them, then it would have been much easier. Yu then says it wasn't luck, instead it was caused by his original magic, taming the beast. Hearing this, Charlotte was shocked. The other students were confused, but Kyle just laughed. He said he had never heard of such magic. If you were going to make up a lie, he should at least make it believable. Abigail said that she believed him, and because of Yu, they could tame it. Kyle looked with hatred towards Yu. Elsa comes towards Yu and congratulates him. Seeing Elsa, Yu became very happy. Abigail was frustrated and asked Elsa, what about her? On the other side, Charlotte hurriedly went towards the principal's office and shouted with an excited expression that she had found it, the man with the magic of taming monster. The old man was surprised hearing this. He then asked, to what extent could the student control the summoned beasts? Charlotte thinks for a moment and says she was not sure, but he was able to tame an intermediate-level monster immediately. The old man smiled and said, and he might be able to help you, Charlotte. Yu, Abigail, and Elsa were taking a walk in the school campus. Abigail then yawns and says that the break time was almost over. Elsa then says that the next lesson would be about the history of the development of Elsoja. Yu then asks what was development history. Elsa then replied, it was a course to deeply analyze all the major historical events. Yu then thinks, would this course also include everything he had done in the past? Especially the destruction of the suspended city. After all, he was the biggest threat to the apostles and humanity. All of a sudden they spot their teacher, Miss Kier, also known as Charlotte. Suddenly, Yu had a bad feeling. Charlotte opens her mouth and instructs Yu to come to the trial tower with her. After they entered the trial tower, Yu had a flustered expression and had no idea why Miss Kier brought him here. The woman then said she had something important to ask him. She suddenly said an oath. Kier Charlotte asks student Yu if he is willing to be a disciple of her, the flame, which Charlotte was thinking that no one would probably miss this great opportunity to be a disciple of the Imperial Wizard. But in the next second, she was shocked, as Yu straightaway refused her. Without any hesitation, she still couldn't believe her ears. She once again asks if he really said no to her. Yu then explains he came to the academy to look for a wife. He doesn't want to be anyone's disciple and have the only work of bringing tea and water for them. Suddenly, he thought of something. There was no rule that the master can't be a disciple's wife. Hearing this, Charlotte straightaway rejects. Yu sighed and walked away. But then he heard the voice of Charlotte, who asked him if he could really get a wife with his current status. She then tells him to recall how he lived before entering the school. Yu then recalls when he first came to the human world, everything was being sold at high prices, and he couldn't afford any of it. He did some low-rank missions to get at least a few coins for his survival. He didn't take any big missions, as he didn't want to reveal his strength and be chased out by the humans and apostles. Yu then fantasizes if he went back to how he was in the past, then maybe Elsa would leave him one day, as he was too poor. He was terrified after having that thought. Charlotte then continued, if he became her disciple, then he could have fame, status, and could even inherit all her property. So she then asks once again, was he willing to become her disciple? Yu smiles and asks, did she really think that he was persuaded by her? Well, she was right, she really persuaded him. He comes running towards her. This scares Charlotte, and she stepped backward. Yu then jumped on her and grabbed her legs. He then thanked her and said that she would be the reason for his glory in the future. Charlotte then speaks in a flustered voice that it was wrong to worship their teachers like that. Yu asked what was wrong with holding the master's thigh. Suddenly the magic circle got activated and voice was heard, which said, contract sign. A flame mark appeared on Yu's forehead. Charlotte became angry and shouted at Yu. She then tells him that a master-disciple relationship was done by printing the sign of the contract through their skin. Now that he had grabbed her in the thigh, never minded, this mark would not show up at ordinary times. Yu becomes excited and asks her if the mark was really engraved on her thigh. Charlotte then shouts at her to get out. In the college restaurant, students were discussing how Yu was called by Teacher Care to the Trail Tower. The two girls on the other side had a worried expression. Abigail explained that in the Royal Academy the Trail Tower was used to discipline, judge or dispose of students. Elsa then says in a sad voice that Yu did nothing wrong. All of a sudden they hear the mocking tone of someone. It was Kyle. He said that finally the boy was getting expelled as the teachers found out his truth. After all, he was just a lowly commoner. Hearing this, Abigail gets up with anger all over her face. Elsa was also dissatisfied. Kyle continued, he said that favoring a lowly commoner makes them lowly too. Instead of being with a noble like him, she preferred that lowly guy. For the first time, Elsa got angry and told him everyone had seen his magic for taming monsters. If he didn't see it, then he should watch his words and not bark. Kyle got angry, but before he could say anything, they heard a voice that came from the entrance of the restaurant. It was Yu's voice. He said that he was only absent for a night, and looks like everyone here was preparing for his farewell. Seeing Yu appear, Elsa became very happy. Yu also complimented her, saying she was looking so cute today. Abigail, after seeing all this, said they both were always horny. Yu then says Violent Girl was also very active today. Abigail then asked him why was he called by teacher yesterday. The blonde guy scoffs and says it must be for expulsion. Yu smiled and said it was because Miss Keir wanted to form a master-apprentice contract with him. Hearing this, all the students were dumbstruck. Yu showed the mark on his forehead to prove it. Kyle was burning with jealousy and said that just because he had luck in all fights, he became a member of the ace class. If he had the guts, then he should fight with him. Elsa, however, stepped forward and said that it was only natural for Yu to be accepted in the academy, as he had gifted magic talent. Kyle got annoyed and shot a wind blade towards her. The blade went past him, cutting some of her hairs. Everyone was shocked. No one expected him to directly attack her. For the first time, Yu felt anger. He then smiled and accepted the match invitation, but behind that smile was unprecedented rage. They moved to the arena. Yu and Kyle confronted each other. Yu asked about the rules. Kyle replied that they would both fight with their full strength, and if he lost, then he had to leave the ace class. Abigail was angry at Kyle because this match was disadvantageous for Yu, as he had no beasts to control. Yu then asks him why he was so confident in defeating him. Kyle smirks and takes out a greenish blade from his spatial dimension. Seeing this, Elsa was shocked. Abigail asked her what's wrong. Elsa then said, according to legends, the ancestors of the Politz family had been given a gift from the king of the elements. There were countless gold and silver trophies, but the most precious of them was this green sword. This was no ordinary sword, as it was a divine sword. Its name was the Green Silver. Seeing the sword, Yu smiles and says it was a bit interesting. He then tells Kyle that if he loses, then he would not only leave the ace class, but also the academy. But if he wins, he would take that green sword. Kyle was aghast by this demand, but after seeing Yu's smirk, he accepts the bet. He then shouts towards Yu, "Don't beg for mercy." Kyle then starts chanting spells, and the green sword started glowing more and more. The two girls were nervous seeing all this. Finally, Kyle made his move, the wind ruling. The move was powerful enough to cut the stage in two. But Yu just stopped it with one hand. The two girls couldn't see anything as the stage was now covered by dust. All of a sudden, Kyle got shocked because his green sword had disappeared from his hand. The sword had appeared on Yu's hand. Yu then said in a mocking tone, "Thanks, Lord Kyle, for your generosity." Suddenly, he hears Elsa's worried voice asking if he was all right. At this moment, Yu remembered that Kyle had attacked Elsa earlier. Yu's eyes turned cold, and he instantly appeared in front of Kyle, making him petrified. He then lightly pushes him, and Kyle was sent flying like a kite. His internal organs busted, and he coughed up blood. He finally landed on the ground after breaking the arena's walls. Both of these girls were too shocked. They couldn't process what had happened. Kyle slowly got up while trembling. Yu then said that according to the bet, this sword was now his. The girls came running towards Yu. Abigail was excited seeing this legendary sword, and Elsa complimented Yu that he was a lot stronger than she thought. Yu blushed from the compliment and said he was very strong. Abigail then says, today they didn't have any classes, so they could have a big feast for the victory celebration. All three of them agreed and proceeded towards the school canteen. On the other side, Kyle couldn't let the sword get away, because if his father were to know that he lost the family treasure to a bet, then the consequences were unimaginable for him. He shouted and stopped Yu. He then told him to hand over the sword. Elsa refuted and said that the promise was already made before the fight. Now that he lost, he was breaking it. Kyle then says that this guy, you must have done some cheating, so he wanted a rematch. Yu straightaway refused. Seeing this, Kyle got angry and told them that he won't let a single one of them escape. This attack was called Raging Wind and was far more powerful than any other attacks. This attack's aim was to kill. Abigail got nervous and advised Yu to go and leave this sword here, as the loser Kyle couldn't even accept his defeat. Yu had already prepared an attack, but before he could launch it, the sword vibrated. Kyle then once again asked them to leave the sword here, but Yu denied it. Kyle directly launched the attack towards the three of them. The attack got stopped. This time it was not Yu. Instead, it was the green sword, which disappeared from Yu's hand and directly blocked the attack. The green blade then slowly started transforming. Everyone was surprised seeing this, as no one had seen this phenomenon earlier. Slowly the green light started to dissipate, and from within it emerged a girl with pointy ears and terrifying amount of magic energy. The girl then bowed towards Yu and introduced herself as Hilf. She was the Sword of the Wind, given by the King of Elements. Hearing the name Hilf, all of them had shocked expressions, because they knew who Hilf was. That's all for today's video. I have an activity for you. How would you describe the main character, Yu, in one sentence? Write it in the comments.